guys? It's your boy, Barca Boy 103. Today we're going to be reacting to the Barcelona news over the past week or so. It's been a minute. This is, I think, the longest I've gone without uploading since I started my YouTube channel. To be honest, not really my fault. There's been no news with the World Cup, of course, which is understandable. There's been maybe like one news story every single day. And it's kind of nice to have a little break as well. But we're back. I miss it. I'm missing Barcelona. Hopefully we get some games coming up. We get some friendlies going. I do miss talking about Barcelona as well. And we have a lot to discuss in this video. Firstly, Barcelona have identified their priority to sign in the January transfer window, and that will be a pivot. And the club have two targets that they want to sign. One of them, Ruben Neves. Second one, Zubimendi. We do have the conditions of both players as well. Another question will be, which one will Barcelona decide to sign in January or maybe in the summer? Alongside a pivot, Xavi also wants to sign Endrick, the young Brazilian wonder kid. Apparently Xavi's come out talking about Endrick, showing his desire to sign the player. The question now really is, can Barcelona afford him and also compete with the likes of PSG, Chelsea, and Real Madrid? But of course, for players to come in, players will have to leave the club, and the main candidate is Memphis Depay. Apparently Erik ten Hag and Manchester United are really interested in bringing back Depay, whether it be on a free transfer or maybe paying a small fee as well. The question now is, can Barcelona let him go? Will Barcelona let him go, and will Depay agree to move to United as well? With of course Ronaldo leaving the club, United do need another striker. And finally, we do have a huge update on Alejandro Balde's contract renewal. We do have the length that's being offered by Barcelona and also the release clause figure as well. But before we get into it, make sure you guys smash that like button down below. Let's try to get to 200 likes in this video. Be very much appreciated. And also, if you're new, make sure you subscribe down below if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Now, before we get into the video, this video is sponsored by Number One Foot. Number One Foot is one of the best replica football jersey websites on the market. They have fantastic qualities at fantastic prices. I ordered some the other day, and I got the treble winning jersey for Barcelona in the 14-15 season. The quality is absolutely unreal at a fantastic price. Look at the badge on the jersey. It is fantastic. You have the Nike logo as well, looking brilliant. It has the right tags, the right size, the right material, and it's at a fantastic price. And on their website, they do have the new Barcelona kit for this season with the Spotify logo. You can pick what badge you want on the sleeve, La Liga, Champions League. You can pick whatever number you want, whatever name you want on the back as well. And again, the material is absolutely unreal. Here I have the 2007 Champions League kit for Barcelona. As you can see, it has the UNICEF logo, the Nike, the Barcelona badge with the Camp Nou name around it. And if you use the discount code BOY at checkout, you do get 15% off your final order. That is BOY. Use it at checkout, 15% off, and all orders over $80 get free shipping as well. So go down below, top link in the description, and get your new football kit today. Let's start off with the transfer news over the past week or so. Now, firstly, we're going to discuss the plan of the Barcelona board for the upcoming 2023 January transfer window. Now, this is coming in from Roger Tolor from Mundo Deportivo. He's come out saying that Joan Laporta, the sports management, and the technical staff will meet in the coming hours to analyze and assess the January signings that they can be faced with. Despite the economic levers that were activated in the summer, La Liga believes that Barcelona should still follow the 1-4 rule and not the 1-1 rule like in the summer. They must make all possible efforts to reduce the economic fair play, be it with the departure of a player, salary reduction, or increased income, be it through the new contract of sponsorship or even playing a friendly before returning to competitive competition. So again, the club are still on the brink of the 1-4 rule and the 1-1 rule. So 1-4 means that for every 100 million you bring in, you can only spend 25 million. Of course, for the 1-1 rule, if you bring in 100 million, you can spend 100 million. So the club are still on the cuffs of that FFP regulation. Even with the departure of Jordi Piqué, with him retiring, it is still not enough to give Barcelona full lineage. We're still in the 1-1 rule at the moment. There are also reports coming out saying that, Barcelona are scared that in the summer they might have to go back to the 1-4 rule, so they want to spend all their money now in January on the 1-1 rule. That way in the summer they don't have to worry about it, so that is a possibility as well. But what the club will do right now is analyze salary reductions with Frenkie de Jong, Marc-Andre ter Stegen, departures, Memphis Depay. We have a new sponsor coming in hopefully for this league. We're going to play some friendlies as well. There's going to be other avenues that we can, make some money from, so the club need to do that first before identifying their targets. And also Jordi Alba came out confirming this as well, saying that Barcelona's January market will be conditioned by FFP. For signings, there have to be exits. When the club would have defined those exits, they will finish defining which position they want to prioritize, a fullback, a pivot, or even an interior. So the club firstly want to get some sales. Most likely it will be Memphis. We will talk about him later on in the video. Anyone else would be a bonus. I think maybe the club will be open to offers for some players, maybe if the right price is right. Of course, players like Jordi Alba will be, able to leave no problem, but I'll keep your eyes on some of the squad players as well. Maybe Frenkie de Jong, if someone comes in, bids 20 million euros for him, I think the club will definitely study it. This could be some captain reductions as well that we gotta look out for, Jordi Alba, so we'll talk about him later on in the video. But as of this current moment, the club have identified the main target for the January transfer window, because Xavi, Mateo Alemán, Jordi Cruyff, Rafael Usage, Juan Laporta did have a meeting a few days ago before Xavi traveled to Qatar. Of course, he was in Qatar yesterday for the Spain-Germany match in the World Cup, and during that meeting a few days ago, they did identify the main target for the winter window. And the main priority for Barcelona in the upcoming January winter transfer market will be the signing of a new pivot, or CDM. Jordi came out saying the options for the pivot are Ruben Neves and Martin Zubimendi. To sign Zubimendi, Barcelona have to pay the entire 60 million euro release clause, and a big earner will have to leave, whether it's Memphis, Jordi Alba, Sergio Roberto. Wolves will be willing to accept an installment payment for Ruben Neves. Ruben Neves' transfer fee could be around 65 to 70, and Barcelona would pay around 25 million euros in January and the rest in installments over the next few years. But to sign Zubimendi, the exit clause of 60 million euros is non-negotiable and must be activated. Wow. So you're getting both players will be around the same price. The question now is, do you want Zubimendi in the summer, or do you want Ruben Neves now? That's pretty much the question. I think Ruben Neves, for a player who will have 1 year left on his contract in 2023, paying 70 million for him, despite it will be in installments and all that stuff, is ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. I think Zubimendi at 60 is still a fair price. I think you can easily offer 50 million and then maybe 10 million euros in add-ons as well. I think Real Sociedad will budget that. Again, Real Sociedad alongside, Dortmund, Napoli, one of the most stingiest clubs in the world. If they set a price, they want that price. They sold Isaac, of course, to Newcastle in the summer for 70. I think if you offer maybe 15 variables, maybe 55 as well, you can get the deal done. I don't think you have to activate the release clause, but you have to get definitely near that. But the question now is, what does Xavi want? And for Xavi, it's clear. Xavi does not see Ruben Neves as a single pivot player, and if he is signed, Xavi would request the immediate renewal of Sergio Busquets for at least another year at Barcelona. Now, we do have some news about Busquets. We will touch upon that in a few seconds. I 1000% agree with Xavi. I've said this for months, and I will say it again. And Ruben Neves, for me, is a Frenkie de Jong kind of profile. Box to box in our system, but can play in a double pivot. I think him and de Jong as a double pivot could definitely work, and that would work great, but we need a single pivot. In our system right now, under Xavi, 4-3-3, you need to have that lone pivot, this lone CDM, who will, dish the ball out, defend well, press well as well, and Zubimendi fits that profile to Xavi's needs. I think Ruben Neves, especially at his, if we're getting him for free or maybe 20 million, whatever the case, if it's like really dirt cheap, you can understand where the board's coming from. And again, it's weird for me that Joan Laporta always says, I don't make the signings, the coach tells me what he wants, and I get him what he wants. I'm not the football guy, right? He's the coach, he tells me what he wants, I'm not the coach. So it's weird for me that he's trying to push for Ruben Neves. I get it, his friend Jorge Mendes, maybe he'll get a super player in the future, you want to have that good relationship, I understand that, but spending 70 million euros on Ruben Neves for me is insanity beyond belief. Now, quickly on Busquets, Juan Martí from Relevo came out saying that with the limit finances Barcelona have, they want to reinforce some of the areas in the team which they consider necessary, for example, the pivot. Except for any surprises, Sergio Busquets will leave next summer when his contract expires. We are hearing currently that Inter Miami is the most likely destination. We're also hearing about Messi as well. We'll look into those Messi rumors, and even with the Busquets into Miami as well, it's really too early for that. I think Busquets has not decided anything whatsoever. I think he'll probably think about his future in January, maybe after the Super Cup and Copa del Rey. We get deep into those competitions, but I think Busquets is gone. Again, I cannot see him renewing. Apparently, if the World Cup was in the summer, he would have left last summer, so I'm not too fussed about Busquets. I think he will leave, but then you go back to what Xavi wants. This is the coach. You have to get him what he wants, because if we sign Ruben Neves and he flops, you can't point the finger at Xavi. You got to point the finger at the board and Joan Laporta, but he doesn't, set up the teams and the tactics, right? So it's a really weird situation for me. I think it's Zubimendi or bust for me. If we get Ruben Neves, I'll back him, of course, but I'll be very disappointed unless Xavi is thinking of the future of the club and wants to go to a 4-2-3-1 and wants to play some sort of formation with a double pivot. Then you can look at Ruben Neves. But for me, I think Zubimendi is the clear and utter target without a shadow of a doubt. So we'll wait and see. Again, I would say the club have probably 30 to 40 million euros to spend in January if they want to, spend every single penny they have. I think the club probably look to spend around 20, 30-ish, somewhere around that. So that pretty much rules out Zubimendi. Again, I don't think Sociedad will take installments and all that sort of stuff. So it'll be interesting. We'll have to wait and see. But no doubt for the pivot position, the club have narrowed down their options to 2 players, Ruben Neves and Zubimendi. The question now is, who are we going to sign? Now, alongside Zubimendi, another player who Xavi wants to sign for Barcelona is the young Brazilian wonder kid for Palmeiras in the Brazilian league. It is, of course, Endrick. While Xavi's out right now, of course, in Qatar, we're covering the World Cup as an ambassador. He's been asked a lot of questions, doing a lot of interviews, and in one of the interviews, he was asked about Endrick, and he came out saying this. This is Xavi's words from his mouth, word for word. He came out saying, "We've been talking with Endrick's father and also with the player. I explained them the project. We want talent like him. He's the kind of player we need. I hope he joins here. It's up to him now to decide." I read this and I'm thinking, we need a player like him? I mean, you have Ansu, Varane, Dembus, Rafinha, Memphis, Lewandowski. If Memphis leaves, you bring in Endrick. Okay, that makes sense. But Endrick is a winger player and an attacking midfield player. I think he's played there quite a few times. So I'm kind of speechless because I'm like, do we really need him? I think I would sign him. Look, if we had the money, the resources, I would sign him. I think he'd be an important player for the team. He's definitely one player for the future as well. Maybe Dembele does not renew his contract. You had to have a backup. I would love Endrick. We've missed out on so many Brazilian talents. Rodrigo, Vinicius. Since Neymar, we've signed absolutely no talent from the Brazilian league. We've let so many pass by us. Even Gabriel Jesus as well when he went to Man City. So I do want Endrick, but I think with the club situation financially and the priorities, is just too difficult, and that is the rumors that we're getting as well. Juan Martin Alberto Roque from Arlivo came out saying that Barcelona like Endrick, but they have limited hope of signing him. Barcelona cannot spend 70 to 80 million euros and wait for a few years for the investment to bear fruit sportingly. Also, there are other priorities like the pivot. So this summer, whoever buys Endrick, they have to loan him back to Palmeiras, I think, for 1 or 2 years because he has to be 18 to play in Europe. Then he has to come to Europe. I think his release clause at the moment at Palmeiras is 60 million euros, and apparently clubs are coming in and paying more because they want him. We're hearing that the 3 in the race right now are Chelsea, Real Madrid, and PSG. But PSG are like offering money. No one ever, Real Madrid and Chelsea just talking, trying to, contract, sporting project, all that sort of stuff. PSG are offering money. I think they already bid 40 and already got rejected. They bid 30 as well. So PSG front runners without a shadow of a doubt, and they're really in the race. But again, we go back to this Busquets comment from Juan Martí. With the limited finances Barcelona have, they want to reinforce some of the areas in the team which they considered necessary. For example, like a pivot. And then you go back to what Jardineiro said. Again, we want a fullback, interior, pivot. So there's other priorities at the club. Let's say, for example, we did not sign Rafinha in the summer, and I don't know, Fran just doesn't play well. Then you can see, okay, a priority for us is a winger, then maybe you can possibly spend this money. But with the money being so high and a winger not being a priority, it doesn't make it difficult for Barcelona. So knowing that we missed out on Endrick because we have other priorities and we don't have the money, I'm okay with that, I understand that. But now it's up to the club to spend right on the areas that we need. We need a good pivot, Zubimendi, good fullback, whoever that may be, whoever the club go for, good interior, whatever the case may be. The club need to spend well if they're going to miss out on a big talent like Endrick. But unfortunately for Barcelona, looks like the Endrick signing is looking more and more difficult by every single passing day. Let's now discuss the players who have been rumored to leave Barcelona over the past week. And of course, the main candidate, the main name has been Memphis Depay. And we got a big update from Sky Germany, from Sky Market, also Plettigol. They've come out saying that Memphis Depay is on the list of Manchester United. Erik ten Hag can really imagine bringing him back. There is contact between all parties. Barcelona would even terminate the contract to save on his salary. Sky is blue, grass is green. I've been saying this for months. We already reached an agreement with Memphis in the summer to terminate his contract. Ain't no way in hell we are selling him for money in January unless he has a ridiculous World Cup, which so far he hasn't. My only concern is this. We play Manchester United in the Europa League in February. I ain't trying to have Memphis rock up in a United shirt, score a hat-trick at the Camp Nou, and send us out. If I were to sell Memphis or let Memphis go for free to Manchester United, I would put a clause in his, termination of contract saying that he cannot join Manchester United until June 2023. I ain't trying to see him rock up in the other team's shirt, making our opponent stronger. That for me is a no-go. So personally, just because we drew Man United in the Europa League, I would not let him go. I would say to him, look, you can join Man United, but you just can't play Barcelona. You can't play Barcelona in the Europa League, those two legs. Go play, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Premier League, other Europa League games if they beat us, but you can't play against us. That, for me, I'll put that in the contract, then I'll let him go. No worries whatsoever. But again, Memphis' exit is looking very likely, and he did also hint at it at the World Cup as well. I think he was asked after the Senegal game about his future at Barcelona. He said that, look, I don't know what will happen after the World Cup. I recovered from my injury and I'm enjoying the World Cup. I don't want to think about the past. I also don't want to think further than this competition. I think Memphis, mentally wise, he'll be very, very strong. I think he'll be okay with staying at Barcelona. I think the only reason why Barcelona want to get rid of him is that he's currently sat on 100,000 euros per week. They want to free up that margin to bring in a player who could be useful, like for example Ruben Neves or whatever the case may be. But I do think if we sell Memphis, we will weaken ourselves up front. You'll have only Lewandowski to play up front. You have Varane and Ansu can be makeshift strikers. You have 5 forwards. One of them gets injured. You're down to 4. Then you have no one off the bench. So I think having squad depth, especially when we're going to be playing right after the World Cup, La Liga, Copa, Super Cup, Europa League, games going to be, we're going to be Thursday, Sunday every single week. You need squad depth. So I would be a bit reluctant to sell Memphis unless, he gets a good offer, he plays well. I don't know. I think he will leave. I would bet on him leaving in January for sure. I think it's looking a lot likely, especially if Barcelona do find the right player they want to sign, and they can do it in January. They will push out Memphis for sure, in my opinion, but we'll wait and see. But if any player is going to leave Barcelona in January, 100% is going to be Memphis. Now, another Dutch player who's been rumored to leave Barcelona for months now, probably since, January of this year, 2022, he's been rumored to leave the club, and that's, of course, Frenkie de Jong. Now, in the last video, I talked about some quotes about Frenkie de Jong coming out saying about his contract being leaked, him not being happy at the club, how there's snakes in the grass, but he's still happy to be there. After that interview came out, Adrian Sanchez came out saying that Barcelona board did not like Frenkie de Jong's comment towards the club, but they will not do anything against it. The club does not want to generate more controversy over situations. So again, you could say the relationship right now between Barcelona and Frenkie de Jong is not at his best, but it's still very much content. It's still very much there. Again, the club do want to speak with him about reducing his salary to help the club in January with FFP alongside Marc-Andre ter Stegen as well. And also Endrick, who is Laporta's advisor. He's been alongside him since he became the president back in 2021. And he came out saying, I can say with knowledge for a fact that the person from the club who defended the continuation of Frenkie de Jong the most was always Joan Laporta. He never considered selling him, even despite the club situation. So it's apparently other people on the board, whether it's other names, like Eduardo Romeo or that girl who I forget her name is, whoever's saying that we should sell Frenkie because he has good value and he's high wages. Apparently, according to Endrick, who will only talk good about Joan Laporta, he's saying that Joan Laporta was the only person that wanted to keep him and did so as well. I think Frenkie de Jong is playing well at the moment, whether it's be for Barcelona or Netherlands. I think losing him would be a big blow. But I wouldn't be surprised if we do sell him again. You look at Ruben Neves, we have to do some sort of favor for Jorge Mendes, apparently. I mean, if Frenkie de Jong leaves and we sign Ruben Neves, not be surprised whatsoever. But I do hope we keep Frenkie. He's been playing well, and I think we will end up doing so. The question really now is, will he help the club and reduce his wages or not? Now, alongside Memphis Depay, another player who Barcelona are desperate and really want to get rid of by the next two windows, whether it be in January or the summer, is the third captain of the club, Jordi Alba. Mundo Deportivo came out saying a meeting between Jordi Alba and Barcelona will be arranged to discuss the termination of Jordi Alba's contract in the summer of 2023, but the player insists on fulfilling his contract, which ends in 2024. Now, when they say here the player insists, they're not kidding. Jordi Alba did an interview with Candacer out on duty during the World Cup. He was asked about his future, and he said, I have a contract with Barcelona, and I see myself capable of fulfilling it. When I don't see myself ready to play for Barcelona, I'll be the first to leave. I don't want to make a fool of myself. So Jordi Alba saying those PK quotes, oh, when I know my time's up, I will walk, whether it's, and Iniesta and Xavi did the same thing. So he wants to kind of leave on his own terms, which is understandable, but again, not really ideal for the club. Currently sat on like $250,000 a week. It's just not feasible when right now Alejandro Balde is starting for him in Barcelona ahead of him. Again, Jordi Alba is doing well at the World Cup, so when he comes back, things could change for sure. I mean, he's been very impressive at the World Cup, if I must say. I think in the game against Costa Rica and Germany, he performed in both of those matches very, very well. We'll see with Jordi Alba. I think if he takes a wage cut, significant, I'm thinking like 80,000. So Sergio Roberto 2.0 wage cut, the club will keep him. But on his current wages, it's just not feasible for the club. So keep your eyes on Jordi Alba. Again, I still have the theory that all 4 captains will leave the club this summer, and I think he should leave as well. Jordi Alba, I think his time at the club is up. Busquets is gonna leave. Piqué is already gone. Roberto ain't looking too good for him with his contract already expiring in the summer. Jordi Alba is the last one that will be the most difficult, so I would keep your eyes on the situation. But I do feel like the club is leaning more towards in the favor of letting Jordi Alba leave by the summer of 2023. Let's now discuss some contract renewal updates around the first team at Barcelona. Just one update, but it's the big one, the contract renewal of Alejandro Balde. We do have a big significant update coming in from Fabrizio Romano. He came out saying that Alejandro Balde's contract extension is a priority for Barcelona. Talks will continue after the World Cup, and there is optimism on both sides from the club and the player. Barcelona are more than confident on agreeing a new long-term deal with the fullback, and Barcelona's offer to Alejandro Balde currently is to extend his contract for 5 more years with an increased salary, and his release clause could be increased with that exclusive category of 1 billion euros. I believe Ferran Torres, Koundé, Araujo, Pedri, Xavi have 1 billion euro release clause at Barcelona. Actually, I have the picture right here. Let me just take a quick look at this, keep it raw. So Xavi, Koundé, Araujo, Pedri, Ferran, Rafinha, and Ansu. So I did forget a few there. So he'll join that exclusive club. I think, of course, having a 1 billion euro release clause is very, very important. If you don't know, in La Liga, you have to have a release clause based on Spanish law. So having it set at 1 billion pretty much means that no one will activate it unless they're freaking crazy. I mean, I'll take $1 billion for Alejandro Balde any single day of the week, but renewing him is important. He's been playing very well. He is currently the starting left back at Barcelona and is also doing fairly well at the World Cup with Spain as well. And also on Spain duty, Alejandro Balde was asked about his contract extension. He said, yes, they are working on it. I want to stay at Barcelona. Whatever has to happen will happen. So I am not worried whatsoever. I was a bit because he got called up. I wanted to get it done before the end of this year, but it's going to be smooth sailing. I am not worried in any way, shape, or form. I think if the club make him that renewal offer in the next month, I would say, offer it, then you can negotiate, all that sort of stuff. It'll be smooth sailing. The question is really if we delay it. If we don't offer him a contract until beginning of February, I'd be worried, but it's going to be smooth sailing. The player wants to stay, the club wants to keep him, and also the culés back him 110% as well. So I think in the end, Alejandro Balde will renew his contract. The question now really is, when will it happen? Let's now discuss some injury updates surrounding Barcelona over the past week, and of course the main one has been on the injury of Araujo, who currently is out on duty with Uruguay despite the fact he's being injured, and apparently Barcelona are worried that Uruguay will rush Araujo back to play at some point in the group stages. Esport 3 came out saying that Barcelona believe that Araujo's recovery is being rushed and have asked Uruguay to slow down the process. It is not ruled out that Barcelona will present a formal complaint to FIFA. First, Barcelona doctors need to give him the medical green light before he plays for Uruguay. Now, they do play today against Portugal, I believe. I don't think he'll play that game, but there is some worry that he could play in the next match against Ghana. Look, apparently Uruguay are saying that, oh, we don't care about Barcelona, we care about ourselves, so we'll play him, if we can rush him or whatever, we will. So, I mean, that's understandable. I would probably do the same thing if I was Uruguay, to have a key player like that. But from the Barcelona standpoint, it's a big no-go. If we have a relapse, it's just detrimental for us. We probably won't see him until March, I would say. Then you're going to have Koundé, Christensen, and, Eric Garcia playing every single week. With PK retiring, does not give you any cover. So Barcelona have to be very, very cautious and do everything they can to make sure Araujo does not step foot on the pitch until he's 1000% ready. There is a Barcelona doctor currently out with Araujo on international duty. Apparently, from the Barcelona standpoint, he cannot play unless that doctor gives the green light. So hopefully we'll be okay for now. We are hearing from Araujo's side that I'm not gonna say he cares about Barcelona more, but he's thinking about Barcelona, saying that, look, until I'm ready, I don't want to relapse, all that sort of stuff. I'm here. In the Uruguay press, they say that Araujo is just there really for moral support and just as a utility option, just in case he's ready and they make it far in the groups, into the knockout rounds of the World Cup. So I'm feeling fairly okay about Araujo, but there is that chance I see Uruguay trying to rush him back so he can play some important matches. But hopefully it's in the hands of Barcelona, and we are hearing again that Araujo is thinking about Barcelona. He's not, I'm not going to say he likes Barcelona more than Uruguay, but he is looking for the future of the club, which is good. So we'll wait and see on it, but there is a bit of concern in the Barcelona, but there is some concern at Barcelona that Uruguay could potentially rush Araujo back. Now, the final topic that I want to discuss before I end off this video is give you guys some updates on Barcelona's kits for next season. I can confirm that I finally ordered my kits, thank God, and we do have some reports about next season's kits coming in again from Footy Headlines, who are of course #1 source in regards to kits being leaked. They came out saying that possible designs for Barcelona's third kit for the 2023-24 season, the club will choose one of these options. So you have the red and blue stripes, the Blaugrana colors underneath the Nike and Barcelona logo. You have it on top, you have it as solid stripes, and you have it as fade out, or you do have it as a stripe across the badge. So out of these 4 options, what would you pick? Let me know in the comments below. I would stay clear of the first 2, the top 2, because I think we've seen them both. I don't mind the bottom left one. And I think the bottom right one we've seen a few times. So I'm kind of leaning towards that bottom left one just to see something different, because we've seen the other ones. But I think if I were to bet, the club would pick one of the 2 on the right hand side, whether it be the top one or the bottom one. I don't think they'll pick anything on the left hand side. But we're looking at a light blue kit, once with some sort of Blaugrana colors on it as well, whether it's gonna be faded in, solid stripes, or whatever the case may be. So it is a bit weird that these kits are being leaked very, very early. Usually we get the leaks around end of January, beginning of February time, but they're coming in like bloody beginning of November, end of October. So we'll wait and see how it turns out. We'll wait and see also what the club decides. Once they decide it, it will be leaked again. But there are some options for Barcelona for the third kit for next season that they must decide on very soon. That way Nike can manufacture those kits and have them ready for next season. So that was my reaction to the Barcelona news over the past week or so. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, and of course leave me your thoughts down below in the comments on everything we discussed. But the main thing I want to first see, of course, is your thoughts on the pivot position for Barcelona. Who would you sign, Ruben Neves or Martin Zubimendi? Secondly, your thoughts on Barcelona most likely missing out on Endrick. Thirdly, on Memphis, what would you do with him? Would you let him go for free, wait for cash? Would you let him go to Man United but let him play against Barcelona in the Europa League? And finally, your thoughts on Alejandro Balde's contract renewal at the club. What do you think will happen? Think it will happen before the season starts back up after the World Cup, after the January transfer window? Leave me all your thoughts down below, and of course, make sure you guys subscribe down below as well if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys next time on the channel. Take care and Forza Barca.
Yeah.